वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जगत्तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे राम। Somebody like to recollect the last week's class? Devraj Prabhu, would like to try?
I didn't note down anything, Prabhuji. I think Deepika Mataji should guide.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just start in interest of time. Okay, so Prabhuji, we started with the 62nd shloka. So, desire for association of good people. Here it is Krishna's devotees. You cited Dhruv Maharaj, Amalashayanam, and Vritrasu's prayers you spoke about. Then second is when one sees other people's qualities, one should be happy. There was description of Vaikuntha by Lord Brahma. He glorifies Tulsi Maharani. Then third is submissive to Guru and to serve the superiors. Devuti served her husband with great respect, intimacy, and control over senses with loud and sweet words. Then disciple to the Guru, you mentioned about Krishna, Sandipani Muni, the Guru. He expresses his satisfaction to Lord Krishna and Balramji by saying that they have taken great difficulty in serving the Guru and they've sacrificed their comfort to serve him. Fourth is diligence in study, especially of the Vedas. Yourself mentioned about Supreme Lord descends as Narayan, qualities exhibited by Brahmaji, and how although the Lord is the source of three Vedas, omniscient, but he examined the Vedas which comes from his breathing. He did it 3 times, and like how the sages together, they discuss, they go through the subject matter 3 times. Then Srimad Bhagavatam, yourself spoke, yeah. The fifth one is having affection to one's wife. You spoke about Kashyapa Muni to Diti, how he feels indebted towards his wife. So I just wanted to just try to explore something in this point that when Bhartari says that having affection to one's wife, just trying to extend this affection, I today I got a quote, of Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, where there was a depiction of a huge tree. It was a portrait, a huge tree was portrayed with branches all spread out. The trunk was really small in size, and the branches were really in abundance and extended. And then Maharaj writes that, quoting the tree, like he says, this is a saint. Like a tree, he always eager to serve others in all regards, in every possible way. So I just connected this point to having affection to one's wife, thinking that how the saints, they have affection to everybody, even to people who are inimical to them. The sixth point is conduct which is not approved to society. being fearful of breaking the rules. Yourself spoke about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he said he would he would not give association to King Prataprudra Maharaj. It does not befit him. And you mentioned this word loka apavadad bhayam. Then seventh point was restraining the mind from sense objects which are obstacles for attaining self-realization, having detachment from sense objects, atma vinigraha indriyartheshu vairagya. And yourself quoted Sripad Ramanujacharya's 5 defects of sense gratification: dukh mulatva, dukh sadhyatva, dukh mishratva, dukh nashvatva, and dukh alpatva. And then his devotion to Lord Shiva, which you said you see him as foremost amongst all Vaishnavas, and devotion to Lord Krishna. And then 63 is natural qualities of Sajjana. During difficulty, a person is firm, not being affected. Greatness of a person is determined by one's ability to tolerate difficult situations. When prosperity comes in your way, that's the second one must learn how to tolerate, because you either get elated and you become extravagant, careless, frivolous. So you need to check yourself when you have a lot of prosperity around you. Then third is showing eloquence in assembly. You quoted Hanumanji, Sri Ram, Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. Then Dasharati is disciple of Sripad Ramanujacharya. You spoke about this lady Atulai, and how he expressed his vachan chaturya. Then fourth is showing courage, prowess, yudh mein parakram. Fifth is kirti mein ruchi, that one should desire to perform those activities which will make him famous, perform good activities. That is how Bali Maharaj, he gave charity to Vamandev, but his main motive was to surrender to Sri Bhagwan. But he concealed his emotions because due to presence of demons. Rather, he said that, which is again according to the dharmic point of view, that by giving charity to suitable person, one will get fame. Again, like I had one realization to this one is that great people, why they desire fame? Because I read in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, the first verse purport that how a king, the Raj Rishis, they are supposed to free their citizens from material bondage to lust. So that means if one is famous, one gets attracted to those people and they want to follow him. They want to do what that person is doing. So that's why one needs to be famous in that regard. That is my realization. And then the sixth one is having great attachment to the study of Shastra. The author here who's writing Bhartahari is actually within the fold of Sanatan Dharma. These qualities are naturally present in Mahatma.
Great. Yeah, these are very beautiful shloka which we discussed last week. Thank you, Deepika King Mataji. So we'll go to the 64th shloka today. प्रदानं प्रच्छन्नं गृहमुपगते सम्भ्रमविधिः प्रियं कृत्वा मौनं सदसि कथनं चाप्युपकृते अनुत्सेको लक्ष्म्यामणविभवगन्धापरकथा सतां केनोद्दिष्टं विश्रममसिदाराव्रतमिदम्. So this verse also speaks about the conduct of the saintly people. The first is Pradhanam Prachannam. So when a person gives charity, it should be in a concealed way. Prachannam means concealed charity. Gupta Dana Dena, secret charity. Pradhanam Prachannam. And second is Griham Upagate Sambrama Vidihi. Following the proper conduct of Atiti Satkar for people who come to our home. Welcoming the guests nicely, serving them nicely. Sambrama Vidhi basically refers to Adarasya Vidhi, how to respect the guests. Griham Upagate Sambrama Vidhi. Priyam Kritva Maunam. After doing some good work to other people, one keeps silent. One does not talk about it. One keeps silent. So Pradhanam Prachanam is especially giving charity in a concealed manner. Priyam Kritva Maunam is doing any beneficial activity and after doing that, keeping silence. Sadasi Katanam Cha Apya Chapya Upakrutehe. That means somebody has done good to you, but you speak about that in the assembly so that everyone can hear. Sadasi Katanam Cha Api Upakrutehe. Somebody who has done help to you, you speak about it openly. Anutseko Lakshmyam. Lakshmyam Anutsekaha. When a person gets wealth, Lakshmyam Anutsekaha, not being proud of that wealth. Anabi Bhava Gandaha Parakataha. Parakataha. While speaking about others, Anabi Bhava Gandaha Parakataha. Parakataha Anabi Bhava Gandaha. That means दूसरों की चर्चा के प्रसंग में किसी की निंदा ना करना. Somebody is speaking about others. In speaking about others, don't actually criticize them. Satam kena uddishtam vishamam asidaravritam idam. So all these qualities are actually very great, very difficult qualities actually. But a saintly person actually follows these qualities as if it is like a Asidara Vratam. Asidara Vratam, this term came previously also. Asidara Vratam means walking on a razor's edge. So following these qualities is like a walking on a razor's edge, because in this world there is so much of temptations to declare your charity, so much of laziness to receive the guests is there, or we want to speak about the we want to criticize others, or we want to hear about the faults of others. So all these temptations are there, are becoming proud of one's wealth, or we don't like speaking about the good done by others in the open. So following these qualities is like a Asidara Vrata, walking on actually razor's edge. But a sajjana, a saintly person, he actually exhibits these qualities, or he follows these qualities naturally, without being told by others. इस प्रकार के कठोर असिदारा व्रत का उपदेश सज्जनों को किसने दिया है? Who has actually taught the saintly people to exhibit these qualities? Who has trained the saintly people to exhibit these qualities? That means the saintly person naturally exhibits these qualities. Previously, one of the words we discussed that how a evil person, without any reason, he actually becomes envious of others. He naturally has the quality of harming others. So the saintly person naturally exhibits these qualities. So these are very wonderful qualities to meditate upon. We will see some examples for these qualities. And so the first quality, few points, whatever comes to my mind. The first quality is Prachannam Dana. So it is said that the ideal standard for giving charity is that the charity should not be known by even the other hand. You give charity with one hand, it should not be known even to the other hand. That is how it is told that it should not be known to others. Secret charity, because generally when we reveal the good things done by done by us, say for example here charity, then we start losing the credit for the charity. So especially in this day and age, today's day and age is like an advertisement age actually. People want to actually exhibit what they have done or where they have gone. Recently, I think a few months back or something, there was some company had done an advertisement. We are going to take people on a special tour to see the remains of the Titanic ship. And some extremely filthy rich people, some 4 or 5 people went on the trip. And then somehow something happened to that particular ship or something, and then all of them died. So we are discussing about that, why actually people went on such kind of a risky journey, because they want to show and put their pictures in the Facebook. Oh, we have gone to some place where nobody else has gone. So today is a age of actually advertisement. So Facebook and so many like YouTube and so on. So therefore, it becomes uh, so oftentimes one may get carried away by the tendency. So therefore, prachannam danam. This is the first one, secret charity, and the second quality is that griham upagate sambrama vidhi. So if we talk about guest reception, this itself is an elaborate subject. I'll discuss few points on guest reception. So it is said out of the Pancha Mahayajna, which is prescribed for a grihastha, one of the yajna is basically Atiti Seva, guest reception. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, when the 4 Kumaras come to the palace of Prithu Maharaj, at that time Prithu Maharaj says that Adana apite danya sadavo grihamedinaha yad griha yarha varyambu trinabhumi ishwaravara. A person who is not very rich, a person who is poor and is attached to family life, but becomes highly glorified when he receives saintly persons at his home. The master and the servants who are engaged in offering the saintly persons water, a sitting place, and a paraphernalia for reception are glorified, and the home itself is also glorified. And sometimes one may think that, oh, to receive the guest, one needs lot of facilities. But in this purport, the Prabhupada says that every householder, regardless of one's position, regardless of one's economic condition, can receive saintly guests with great devotion and offer them drinking water. He says that suppose if he is not, you can offer them drinking water. For drinking water, it's available always. So suppose he says that in India, the custom is that even an ordinary person is offered a glass of water. It's not, the point he's trying to say is that it is not that you have to be very rich in order to receive the guest. If a person does not have say a lot of facility to prepare foodstuffs, one may just offer a seat to the person. One can just offer some seat and water to the person. And then if a person cannot even do that, one can just offer some sweet words to the person. Or if one cannot do that, one can simply offer obeisances to the guest. So Prabhupada says that if there is no water, one can offer a sitting place. Even if it is just a straw mat, it's not that, oh, some sofa is required or something. If one has no straw mat, then he can immediately cleanse the ground and ask the guest to sit there. Suppose a householder even cannot do that, then we just with folded hand, he can simply receive the guest saying, Swagatam, welcome to you. And if he cannot even do that, then he would feel sorry for his poor condition and shed tears and simply offer obeisances along with his family. In this way, he can satisfy any guest, even if the guest is a saintly person or a king. And then in the next shloka, Prithu Maharaj says that Vyalalaya Drumavai Tesh Arikta Kila Sampada Yadgriha Tirtha Padiya Pada Tirtha Vivarjita. On the contrary, even though full of all opulence and material prosperity, any householder's house where the devotees of the Lord are never allowed to come in and where there is no water for washing their feet is to be considered, such a house is considered to be like a tree, sandalwood tree in which venomous serpents live. So somebody's house may be very wealthy, but if it does not receive a saintly person, it's like a sandalwood tree is something a very rich tree. But serpents take shelter of the sandalwood tree in order to experience the coolness. So that means that such a wealthy house is considered to be like a sandalwood tree in which envious people live. So about guest reception, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, once he was talking about guest reception, the mood of guest reception in Radha Gopinath temple. So one of the point he said was that guest reception, it is not only the duty of that guest reception department. It is the duty of every person in the temple. And then he said that any person who comes to the temple, one should think that, oh, this person is Radha Gopinath, Shri Radha Gopinath's personal guest. Thinking like that, one should receive the guest in such a way that the guest will feel the love of Shri Radha Gopinath and Srila Prabhupada. He said that this should be the mood of those who receive the guest. And in the Mahabharata Vana Parva, there's a beautiful section where after Yudhishthira Maharaj, the Pandavas go to the forest. At that time, many Brahmanas, they keep following the Pandavas because they don't want to live under the rule of the Kauravas. And they kept on following the Pandavas. Although the Pandavas have no wealth to maintain these Brahmanas, but they were following the Pandavas. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was feeling bad. He was telling them, I am not able to serve you, maintain you. Please actually do not follow me. You can please stay in Hastinapur. Like that, he was pleading to them. But then they refused to follow that. They wanted to be with the Pandavas. So at that time, Yudhishthira Maharaj says that the person who stays in the Grahastha ashram, the person like me, I'm supposed to take care of the people who are dependent on me. If I don't do that, then how am I following the rules of a Grahastha ashram properly? And then he said, 4 things should never be in shortage in the house of a Grahastha. Samvibhago hi bhutanam sarvesham iva drishyate tataiva apachamanebhya pradeyam grihamedina. गृहस्थ के भोजन में देवता, पितर, मनुष्य एवं समस्त प्राणियों का हिस्सा देखा जाता है. गृहस्थ का यह धर्म है कि वह अपने हाथ से भोजन न बनाने वाले सन्यासी आदि को अवश्य पका पकाया अन्न दे. Then he said that, then he says, a grahastha should give a asana, some straw mat for sitting, and some water for drinking, and speak some sweet words. So these four things, a straw mat for sitting, kusha grass for sitting, then baitne ke liye stan, it seems they are mentioned separately, straw and then baitne ke liye stan, and then water for drinking and sweet words. He says that these four things should never be in shortage in receiving the guest. And then, so then he says that Chakshur Dadyan Mano Dadyat Vacham Dadyat Subhashitam Uttaya Chasanam Dadyat Esha Dharma Sanatana Pratyuttayam Abhigamanam Kuryan Nyayena Charchanam. The one who has come to our house, we should look at them with our eyes filled with love. प्रेम भरी दृष्टि से देखे, मन से उसके प्रति उत्तम भाव रखे. Have a pleasant mind towards such a person and speak sweet words to him. And when the guest comes, get up and offer a seat to him. This is a important dharma. ये गृहस्थ का सनातन धर्म है. This is the eternal dharma of a गृहस्थ. So अतिथि को आते देख उठकर उसकी अगवानी और यथोचित रीति से उसका आदर सत्कार करें. And then he says that then he also talks about 5 components of Atithi Yajna. What are the 5 components? Chakshur Dadyan Mano Dadyat Vacham Dadyacha Sundrutam Anuvrajed Upasita Sayagya Panchadakshinaha. So one should have an eye contact with the Atithi. Not that the Atithi has come and you keep watching maybe a cinema or cricket match. Have eye contact with the Atithi. And then with our mind, we start thinking about the welfare of the Atithi. And third, speak sweet words, truthful words, pleasing words, and which will be beneficial to the Atithi. And then when the Atithi starts leaving the house, somebody is unmuted, the sound keeps coming. And then when the guest starts leaving, then we go till a particular point and give send off to the guest. Sometimes traditionally, sometimes when somebody would, one person would be leaving in the train, but sometimes 5-6 people would be coming to give send off actually. So at least go till some distance to give send off to the guest. And then as long as the person is sitting in the house, we sit along with him and take care of his needs. So Yudhishthira Maharaj speaks about this, about the guest reception. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when there is a description of the hellish planets, there is one particular hellish planet called as Paryavartana. It is said that a householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, such a person is put into the hell called as Paryavartana, where that person will be gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. And in fact, the word Atithi means one who comes without a titi, one who comes without a prior information. So, if we see one of the classic example of guest reception in the Srimad Bhagavatam is how Ranti Dev, he performed a fasting for I think 48 days, remember properly. And then when he came to the time came for breaking the fast, there was certain amount of food was there. And he had divided the food among his family members, and then some particular portion of the food was there, which he was about to consume to break the fast. But at that time, a Brahmana came. But when he was about to eat, a Brahmana guest appeared. Therefore, Antidev did not eat the food, but instead immediately offered a portion of the food to the Brahmana. And then when the Brahmana left, when Rantidev was just about to eat the remnants of the food, a Shudra appeared. Then Rantidev again divided the remnants between the Shudra and himself. And then Shudra ate and then left. And then again, when Rantidev was about to eat the remnants of food, another guest appeared. A person, I think, surrounded by some dogs. Another guest appeared. So Rantidev gave the rest of the food to that particular new guest. And then Rantideva just made himself content to just drink some water. This all after 48 days of fasting. But at that time, a Chandala appeared. A thirsty Chandala appeared. And then Rantidev gave that water also to the Chandala. And then he actually glorified the Supreme Lord that he was able to show compassion to these people. So Rantidev's example is a great example of guest reception. So because Rantidev, guest reception is a normal dharmic activity, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we see the example of Rantidev performed the guest reception by receiving all the guests as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Rantidev speaks that Tasmai Samya Bhajat Sonnam Adritya Shraddhayanvita Harim Sarvatra Sampashyan Sabhuktva Prayayav Dvijaha. Because Rantidev perceived the Supreme Lord everywhere and in every living entity, he received the guest with faith and respect and gave him a share of the food. And then Rantidev said that Na kama yekam gatimishwarat param astrardi yuktam apunar bhavam va artim prapadye kila deha bhajam antastito yena bhavantya dukkha. I do not pray to the Supreme Lord for the 8 mystic perfections, not for salvation and repeated birth and death. I want only to stay among all the living entities and suffer all distresses on their behalf so that they may be freed from suffering. So Rantidev performed a guest reception, and Krishna himself, during the Rajasuya Yajna, Krishna took the role of washing the feet of the guests on behalf of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And another example in the Bhagavatam is that Sudama, a highly learned, renounced Brahmana, the way Krishna received Sudama, that only transformed the heart of Sudama. That only deeply touched the heart of Sudama. So Krishna also showed by his example of receiving the Brahmana guest. And then another example of guest reception is Naranarayana Rishi's guest reception to the Devatas. So Devatas, Indra tried to disturb Naranarayana Rishi's tapasya by sending certain apsaras. At that time, Naranarayana Rishi produced from his thighs Urvashi, and in front of Urvashi, the apsaras sent by Devatas were like insignificant, ugly in front of Urvashi. At that time, it dawned upon Indra that what a mistake I committed. Then he wanted to beg forgiveness and he was trembling in fear and he came in front of Naranarayana Rishi. Because he had a previous experience, that how he heard about the previous experience when Kamadev tried to disturb the tapasya of Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva burnt Kamadev in anger. So he felt that Naranarayana Rishi would also burn him with his anger and would curse him. But Naranarayana Rishi, he told the Devatas with a pleasingly, he said, how can I serve you? So Indra became fearful, thinking that Naranarayana Rishi would become very powerful by severe penances and seized Indra's heavenly kingdom. So Indra sent all these people to disturb. But when Indra realized his mistake and came in front of Naranarayana Rishi, Indra was trembling in fear, but Naranarayana Rishi told that, oh, my dear Devatas, do not fear. Please accept these gifts I am offering you and kindly sanctify my ashrama by your presence. Kindly sanctify my ashrama by your presence. So when the Devatas heard this reply from Naranarayana Rishi, especially offering guest reception to a person who actually tried to defame you, who tried to actually make you fall down. But Naranarayana Rishi offered such a guest reception, the Devatas were completely taken aback. Another example of guest reception, when the Pandavas were actually in the Eka Chakra, we know that after that the Kauravas tried to burn the Pandavas in the house of flag, and the Pandavas escaped. So before coming to Drupada's kingdom for the Draupadi's Swayamvara, before that they were in Eka Chakra, they were residing in a Brahmana's house, disguising themselves as the Brahmanas. So at that time, so there's a long story that Kunti and heard about the conversation between the Brahmana and his wife. So you know that story, there was a Bakasur, a demon, and the Bakasur, every 15 days or something, that there was a pact that one person from in the village, one family should send a huge quantity of food and one member from the family as a foodstuff to Bakasur. And the turn came for this particular Brahmana's family, and this family was in great danger. The Brahmana said that I will go and actually give myself. But the Brahmana's wife was saying, no, you don't go. I will offer you and go. I will actually sacrifice myself. And then at that time, the daughter comes and says, no, you both don't go. I will go and offer myself. It's a long, beautiful conversation. In that conversation, if you read, like you will see what should a family, in a family, what should be the sentiments of the each people. What should be the sentiments of a father? What should be the sentiments of a mother? What should be the feelings of a daughter, son? If you want to know what are the family values, one must read that conversation. This comes in again. This comes in, I think, Sabha Parva or Adi Parva. Not wrong. So, so then Kunti is overhearing all this conversation, and Kunti finally comes and tells that Kunti asks that what is the problem? Why are you in so much of danger? And then they tell that they tell about the demon Bakasur. So at that time, Kunti tells that, no, I will send my son Bhima along with the footsteps. And Bhima will take care. So Kunti had such a confidence in Bhima. Oftentimes, for parents, when they become overprotective, they don't allow the children to take some risk in their life. And because of that, because of their overprotective nature, the children don't grow only. But here Kunti told that my son will definitely take care of the demon. So when Kunti told this, that time the Brahmana and the wife, they said that we can actually never allow that. Because you are our guest, how can we sacrifice the guest for our sake? This can never be possible. Not only you are a guest and you are moreover a Brahmana, you are a Brahmana guest. How can we allow our guest to go through this difficulty? So what we see is that we can see what are the thinking pattern of the dharmic people. The family members were in great difficulty. But even in their personal difficulty, they were conscious of the principle of guest reception. How can we allow our guests to get into trouble? So then at that time, Kunti convinces the Brahmana about the prowess of Bhima. And then after convincing them about the prowess of Bhima, and then she sends Bhima. So the point is, we can see again the principle of guest reception here. And then another section in the Bhagavatam, when there is a section in the 8th canto where conversation between Kashyapa Rishi and Aditi. So Aditi was in a morose condition, and seeing Aditi's morose condition, Kashyapa Rishi asked different questions. What is the reason for your morose condition? One of the questions he asks is that, is it that did you fail to receive some guests properly? Is that the reason for your distress? So we see one of the reason for depression or moroseness is that when we fail to receive the guests properly. The result of not receiving the guests properly, it will result in depression. So this is also another thing. And then another in the Bhagavatam, when Krishna came to Indraprastha, when Krishna came to Indraprastha, Pandavas, this one, before the Rajasuya Yajna, Krishna stayed with the Pandavas for a few months. At that time, it is said that Yudhishthira Maharaj gave Krishna every day a new experience of guest reception. For a few months, every day he gave a new experience of guest reception. That means something new for Krishna. So this is again a beautiful principle of guest reception, and that too serving Krishna. And there are many other examples, but maybe I'll not. Another point in the Bhagavatam, of course, we talked about serving the guest, and another from the point of view of the guest, what should be his feeling when a person visits somebody's house? It's not, he should not actually take advantage of the host. Okay, I'll keep accepting service for as long as possible. The guest, he should do the needful and then one should leave. So there's an analogy given, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ittam parimrishan mukto grihesh atitivat vasan. Na grihair anubadyeta nirmamo nirahankrita. So the analogy Krishna says that how should a person live in this world? When a person is living in this world, even if you are living in a wealthy house, even if you are living in a very opulent house, own house, but one should think that I am a guest in the house without any sense of proprietorship or false ego. That means even if you are living in your own house with a lot of wealth, one should think that this house is a temporary thing. I am not the proprietor of this house. One should live like a guest. Atitivat vashan. So Krishna speaks about the principle of detachment, a principle of not having the proprietorship, not being egoistic. Because when an Atiti goes to somebody's house, he should understand that I am not the proprietor of this house. Although the host may be willing to please him in many ways, but he should think that I am not the proprietor of the house. And then, so this is something. We will go to the next point. Next point is Priyam Kritva Maunam. So this is again a very beautiful point actually. After doing some help, but remaining quiet. So Arjuna, you know that Uttara Kumar episode, that during the Ajnatavas, the Kauravas, they attacked the Virata kingdom. At that time, the Ajnatavas already just ended. But they suspected Pandavas may be there because there is a lot of prosperity in Virata kingdom. They attacked and they stole the cows of the Virata. So at that time, Arjuna goes as a Sarathi of Uttara Kumar. Uttara Kumar, he was just boasting himself, oh, I will actually bring the Uttari of all the Kauravas. But when he actually sees the Kaurava army, then he becomes afraid. He was about to flee the battlefield. But Arjuna, who was in the body of a eunuch, then he actually defeated all the Kauravas. And then when Arjuna comes back to the Virata kingdom, he did a great upakara to the king Virata by defeating all these Maharathis, Kauravas. But after doing this, Arjuna did not reveal that to the Virata. So, Priyam Kritva Maunam. So, there is a beautiful analogy which Vishwanath Chakravarti gives in a Bhagavatam purport, which can be seen here. He says that the love in the heart of a lover towards the beloved can be male, female, or between friends, or whichever. That love is like a lamp. And if we express that love through the mouth, expressing that love through the mouth here, it means that suppose you have done certain benefit to the person whom you love. And then if you express that through the mouth, oh, for your sake, I made this sacrifice. I took this great effort and I made this sacrifice just for your sake. If you express that with your mouth, then that lamp will get extinguished. Expressing that with the mouth, that means that you are opening the door of the room in which the lamp is kept. So lamp is shining inside the room, and when you open the door, then the wind starts flowing from outside, and when the wind starts flowing, that lamp will get extinguished. So similarly, when we express the maybe the sacrifice which we performed to others with our mouth, it is like opening the door, and we open the door, wind will come and the wind will extinguish that lamp. Then by expressing that, by speaking that out, the credit for doing that will actually will get over, will be extinguished. So therefore, Priyam Kritva Maunam. So there is a beautiful story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, every day after taking lunch, he would just lay down at the Gambira. And then Mahaprabhu's personal servant Gambira, Govinda, would massage Mahaprabhu's legs. And then after Govinda would massage Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's legs, then Mahaprabhu would go to sleep and then go to sleep for some time. At that time, Govinda would go to take prasadam. So one day, when Mahaprabhu laid down, he actually occupied the entire doorway. So Govinda could not even enter the room in order to in order to massage Mahaprabhu's leg, because Mahaprabhu was lying down in the doorway. So then, but then Govinda had to perform the service. So he just he massaged on one side, but then to massage the other side, he had to cross over Mahaprabhu. He had to cross over Mahaprabhu because Mahaprabhu was lying down in the doorway. So he requested Mahaprabhu, please kindly turn on the other side so that I can pass into the room and I can massage the other side. But then he made this request again and again, but Mahaprabhu did not reply because Mahaprabhu said that I cannot move my body. He was little asleep. But Govinda said that I want to massage your legs. So that Mahaprabhu did not reply only. Then what Govinda did is that Govinda spread a cloth or a wrapper on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body, and this way he crossed Mahaprabhu's body and he entered inside the room and massaged the other part of Mahaprabhu's body. And then Mahaprabhu's fatigue went away, and then Mahaprabhu slept nicely for about 45 minutes. And then his sleep broke. And then when his sleep broke, and then he saw Govinda sitting by his side. And Mahaprabhu was somewhat angry. Why have you been sitting for so long today? Why didn't you go and take prasadam after I fell asleep? Then Mahaprabhu asked. So then Mahaprabhu said that, how did you enter the room? Why didn't you actually leave the room? The way you entered the room by crossing my body. You could have actually crossed my body again, and then you could have also left the room. Why didn't you take lunch in the, why didn't you, you could have gone 45 minutes before and you could have taken lunch. Why did you do like that? Like that Mahaprabhu asked. At that time, Govinda mentally replied. He did not speak it out. Within his mind, he replied, my duty is to serve. Actually, crossing somebody's body is like a committing an offense to that person. So I committed an offense of crossing your body, but for the sake of serving you. So even if I have to commit offenses to serve you, I don't mind for the sake of serving, because when I commit offenses, I will get reaction, but I don't mind the reaction for the sake of serving you. But I would not mind committing hundreds and thousands of offenses for the service of you. But I greatly fear committing even a glimpse of an offense for my own sake. So Govinda spoke that within his mind. Govinda kept silent. He did not reply to Mahaprabhu's inquiry. So then, so that was the sweetness. Priyam Kritva Maunam. So Govinda felt that how could so these are Kaviraj Goswami says that these are some of the finer points of etiquette in devotional service. That means for the sake of service of the Lord, a person was willing to commit an offense and take the reaction. But for one's own sake, for one's own eating, feeding, taking prasadam, the devotee was not willing to commit that offense. So he said that these are the finer points of etiquette in devotional service. And after doing that, Govinda remained silent. So only one who has received the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand this principle. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually engineered this incident in order to manifest the wonderful quality of Govinda to the world. So this is that example of Priyam Kritva Maunam. Or another example in the 10th canto, the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna and Balram, they came to Krishna and Balram. Oh, we are feeling very hungry. We want to eat something. This is actually just before the Dhenukasur episode. Actually, what the cowherd boyfriends were thinking was that, oh, Krishna and Balaram must be hungry. We have to get something for Krishna and Balaram. We have to find out some means to feed them. But if we say that, oh, we want to do something for you, then Krishna and Balram would not be ready to accept our service. So therefore, they had that in their mind, but then they spoke in this way. Oh, we are feeling very hungry. And then they're saying like that, because when they say like that, then Krishna and Balram would tell some means to get food. And then they can get the food, and then with that food, they can feed Krishna and Balram. So with that in mind, they spoke as if that they want food for themselves. Although in their mind, they were wanting food for Krishna and Balram. This is what Priyam Kritva Maunam. And then what is the next one? Sadasi Katanam cha api upakrite. Essentially, this tells the principle of gratitude. When somebody has done good to you, one should express gratitude to the person. Gratitude to the person, yeah, by doing something in return, or another is actually speaking about that, glorifying that person. So there are very many beautiful quotes on gratitude. Upakarini Vishrabde Shuddhamatau Yaha Samacharati Papam tam janam asatya sandam bhagavati vasude katam vahasi. What is the meaning? The meaning is that जो प्राणी उपकारी विश्वासी एवं निष्कपट प्राणी के साथ भी विश्वासघात करता है, उस कपटी झूठे नीच पुरुष को तुम कैसे धारण करते हो? One who is ungrateful to the person who has done benefit to him, the trusted person, such an ungrateful person is the greatest burden for Mother Earth. Another verse, it is said that there is a beautiful Subhashita. Shokam ma kuru kukura satvesh aham adamiti muda sadho kashtadapi kashtataram drishtva shwanam kritagna namana. A person is telling to the dog, hey bhai kutte, कृतज्ञ नाम के अत्यंत दुखी श्वान को देखकर मैं सब प्राणियों में अदम हूं ऐसा शोक मत कर. A dog was thinking that, oh, I am the lowest among all the animals. But the other person was pacifying, don't think that you are the lowest person, because the person who is really lowest is a person who is ungrateful. Such a person is the lowest person. So therefore, don't think that you are the lowest person. Another Shubhasita says that ब्राह्मण के हत्यारे, सुरापान करने वाले, चोरी करने वाले तथा खंडित व्रत वाले प्राणी के लिए शास्त्रों में प्रायश्चित का विधान है. One who has killed a brahmana, one who is drinking liquor or a thief, for them प्रायश्चित is given in the shastra. But then a प्रायश्चित is not given for an ungrateful person. So मित्र से द्रोह करने वाले, क्रूर प्राणी और कृतज्ञ, इन नीच मनुष्यों का मांस भक्षण भी मांस भक्षी जीव और कृमि नहीं करते. If somebody who is ungrateful, even an animal which eats flesh will not eat the flesh of an ungrateful person. It means even the meat-eating animal will not want to eat the meat of an ungrateful person. Then the next quality is Lakshmyam Anutseka, not being proud of one's opulences. So there is one beautiful shloka spoken by Vamana Dev about to Bali Maharaj. Vamana Dev says that, so Lakshmyam Anutseka means not being proud. Vamana Dev says, Janma Karma Vayo Rupa Vidyaishwarya Dhanadibihi Yadyasya Na Bhavet Stambas Tatrayam Madanugraha. If a human being is born in an aristocratic family or a higher status of life, if he performs wonderful activities, if he is youthful, and if he has personal beauty, a good education and good wealth, but despite having all these qualities, but if he is nonetheless not proud of his opulences, it is to be understood that he is especially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because this Neeti Shataka verse talks about not being proud of one's wealth, but this Bhagavatam verse says that after being born in a high family with a great beauty, after performing great activities, after having youthful body, still if one is not proud of one's opulences, it is to be considered that he is especially favored by the Supreme Lord. So that is a great this thing. And then the last is Anabhibhava Gandha Parakatha. That means not having not wanting to hear about the ninda, criticism of the others. are not speaking about the criticism of the others in the open public. Anabi Baba Ganda Parakata, not having even a Ganda, you're not having even a trace of interest. Or speaking of others in terms of free from contempt. Not even having a trace of interest in hearing about the criticism or speaking about the criticism of others. So oftentimes we see one of the mindset of a materialistic person is that people like to hear the controversial thing. So that is why even the news channels and all newspapers, whenever there is a scandal involved, whenever there is a scam involved, and then that becomes a breaking news actually. And that people sell, because people like to hear such a news, the newspapers also, they portray such news actually. For example, there was some episode of one Hindu spiritual leader some years back actually. And I was going to one college, and then the student was saying that morning to night in the news channels, almost in every news, they were talking about that particular Hindu leader's affair, that particular Hindu leader's scandal only. Yeah, he might have done a mistake, but the point is that whenever there's a Hindu leader performs certain this one, they portray it as if in order to defame the Sanatan Dharma only. And people also like to hear such controversies. So I remember some 30 years back, there was some American president was having an affair with some woman, and the newspaper had actually published the transcription of the minute details of the conversation. Transcription of the minute details of the conversation. So that means people like to hear such scandals. That is the mindset of a conditioned soul. But whereas here the great people, they don't want to. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, one of the things which were described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is that whenever somebody would speak some fault about the Vaishnava, immediately he would say that, please, I don't want to hear about that. And he immediately would avoid it. So that is why Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami speaks one verse. He says that one of the quality of a Uttam Adhikari devotee is that he is freed from the propensity to find fault in others. He is freed from the propensity to hear about the faults of others. The same quality is mentioned over here. So we could just cover one shloka today. So we discussed Prachannam Pradhanam, and then guest reception, Priyam Kritva Maunam, and then ungrateful, or basically speaking about the good done by others, the open public, and then not being proud of one's opulences, and not taking pleasure in the criticism of others. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Anybody wants to share anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Very nice class today. So, Prabhuji, I just remembered that in one of your class you mentioned that regarding guest reception, when Hanumanji jumped to cross the ocean to Lanka. So Hanumanji, being a son of Vayu, he jumped with such force that there were many trees, and the many trees were uprooted and followed Hanumanji. So this is like the when guest is leaving, so people go to see off them. So the trees were following that example is given. So I remember this point.
Thank you for sharing this point. Yeah, that's a very beautiful description. The beginning of the thing, Sundarakanda. Hanumanji's crossing over the Lanka. It's a very beautiful poetic description in Ramayana.
And Prabhuji, I have posted one question in chat box. So please.
When I collect a Janmashtami donations from my friends or relatives, then I come to know how much they give, how this has to be seen. Yeah, in the sense, whatever they give, we can encourage them. We can take inspiration, we can encourage them. And
Prabhuji, it is said no that what one gives should not be known to the other hand also. So from their point, but some people will come to know also. So, but this should be kept secret from my side, no?
from the person side, but from the receiver side, yeah, they should actually, suppose a temple is receiving some donation or anybody who is receiving some charity. The receiver side, he should actually give proper respect to the donor. The donor side, yeah, one should not expect to be advertised. Yeah, from when we are collecting donation, from our side, whatever they give, yeah, we give them, we encourage them, appreciate them. They are not able to come to Janmashtami, we give them prasadam on behalf of Krishna for whatever they give. That way we should reciprocate.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Prabhuji, as how Kashyapa Muni spoke to Aditi that have you not received some guest? Well, so correct me if I'm wrong. Then even Yudhishthir Maharaj said the same thing to Arjuna, right? When Krishna left, that when he was sad, like.
Hmm. Whether this point comes, I'm not particularly remembering. First canto, 14th chapter, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked several questions. Maybe this question also comes. Is the reason for your distress? One other thing he asks is that, did you not give shelter to some people who came and took shelter of you? That can be seen as guest reception. That can be seen as a Kshatriya Dharma. Somebody comes to take shelter of a Kshatriya. Or were you not, did you fail to offer shelter to the person? It can be seen in the light of guest reception also.
Even Vidurani's service to Lord Krishna, that is also a sign. Yeah. Bahulashva Shruti.
Shrutadev and Bahulashva, yes. Shrutadev and Bahulashva. Bahulashva was a king, healthy person. Shrutadev was an ordinary poor Brahmana. But there's a description of how Shrutadev received Krishna. Shrutadev, it is said that he actually took out his Uttariya and then he started whirling that Uttariya, expressing his happiness that Krishna has come to his house. And then Bahulashva had an entourage of dancers to please Krishna. But Shrutadev was an ordinary poor Brahmana. He didn't have any such facilities. So Shrutadev started dancing for the pleasure of Krishna, to receive his guest Krishna. In that sense, there's a beautiful description. So, how Shrutadev received Krishna.
And this is just on a lighter note. You had even long back in one of your lectures, you had mentioned that how son-in-laws come to with their daughters to their parents' house, and one son-in-law was not leaving only. He had served him so well. That
Yeah, that's a point and a different connection actually. The Srimad Bhagavatam also we can see in this slide. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam took birth because of improper guest reception. Because Samika Rishi unknowingly did not show proper welcome to Parishit Maharaj. And Parishit Maharaj, because of a circumstantial fit of anger, he put the dead snake around Samika Rishi and came. So that act of Parishit Maharaj, that gave rise to the birth of Srimad Bhagavatam. So improper guest reception led to the birth of Srimad Bhagavatam. And they say, it's a Parishit Maharaj who felt offended because Samika Rishi did not receive him properly to give some water. So he put the dead snake. But later the same Parishit Maharaj, after he was cursed by Shringi for 7 days, how Parshit Maharaj received Krishna Katha. When Shukdev Goswami started speaking Krishna Katha, Parshit Maharaj said that Naishati Dussakha Kshunmam Yaktodam Apipadate Pibantam Twan Mukambojam Chutam Harikatamritam. Please don't think that I must be tired because of hunger and thirst. Please go on speaking Krishna Katha. The more I relish the nectar of Krishna Katha from you, the more I want to hear more. In that sense, the way Parishit Maharaj received Krishna Katha, the guest in the home of Krishna Katha, that is also we see in the Bhagavad. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. We could just cover only one shloka. So next week we'll take 65 onwards.